Cars ripping apart like tissue paper, 60G impacts that would kill most humans, and drivers climbing out like nothing happened. NASCAR's worst crashes will make you realize just how insane these guys really are. Buckle up. 10. Austin Dillon. Starting with Austin Dillon in the 2015 Daytona 400. It's the final lap. Everyone's pushing like maniacs trying to get to the finish line. Dale Jr.'s about to win when all hell breaks loose behind him. Harvick taps Hamlin and boom. 24 cars get collected in this massive pileup. But here's where it gets wild. Dillon's car hits Hamlin at just the right angle, and the thing goes airborne. Not like a little hop, I'm talking full-on flight mode, flying over 2 lanes of traffic straight into the catch fence at 190 miles per hour. The car slams into a fence pole and just stops midair. Then it falls back down onto the track upside down, and Keselowski, who's spinning in oil, nails him again. The fence had a 60-foot hole ripped in it, and 5 fans got hurt from the debris. Dillon somehow crawls out with just a bruised tailbone and forearm. When they interviewed him after, he said the scariest part was thinking the wreck was over while sliding on his roof, then getting absolutely destroyed by that second hit. 9. Tony Stewart. Tony Stewart at the 2012 Talladega race had one of those crashes that makes you wonder how anyone survives. It's the final lap during a green-white checkered finish, and the entire pack is going 4 wide. Absolute chaos. Stewart's leading when Casey Mears starts pushing Michael Waltrip, and they make a move on the inside. Stewart tries to block, but Waltrip turns him sideways and he spins into the pack. Then Stewart's car goes full airborne and ends up upside down on top of like 3 other cars. His car is literally surfing on Casey Kane, Clint Boyer, and Paul Menard's roofs. 25 cars total got collected in this mess. Only 17 of them could even finish the race. The craziest part? This crash led to Dale Jr. getting a concussion and admitting he'd been hiding another concussion from a tire test weeks earlier. That whole situation eventually forced NASCAR to create an actual concussion protocol by 2014. Sometimes it takes something terrible to make real change happen. Stewart walked away, but man, seeing that car upside down riding on other cars is nightmare fuel. 8. Carl Edwards. Edwards is battling for the win on the final lap. Gets pushed by Brad Keselowski coming to the white flag. They're screaming down the back stretch when Edwards tries to block Keselowski going into the tri-oval. Keselowski makes contact with Edwards' left rear, and Edwards spins backwards and goes airborne. Not just a little airborne. His car is flying like a damn fighter jet. Dale Jr. slips past him on the inside, while Edwards is literally in mid-air. Then Ryan Newman hits Edwards head-on while he's still flying. That second hit launches Edwards even higher, and he goes straight into the catch fence. 8 fans got injured. 1 woman had her jaw broken and needed to be airlifted out. Edwards' car finally lands hard on its wheels and stops 100 feet from the finish line. Keselowski won the race, Dale Jr. got second, and Edwards climbed out and jogged to the finish line on foot. The crowd gave him a standing ovation. When Mike Joey called it, he said it had shades of Ricky Bobby. And honestly, that's perfect, because when Edwards went on Larry King Live later, he admitted he's a Will Ferrell fan and did it because of Talladega Nights. Only Edwards could turn a near-death experience into a comedy bit. 7. Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon at the 2008 Las Vegas race didn't have the most spectacular crash on this list, but it was nasty enough to red flag the race for 17 minutes. Gordon was running near the front on lap 262 when he lost control and absolutely destroyed his car. The impact sent car parts flying everywhere across the track, and officials had to stop everything to clean it up. Not much else to say about this one, honestly. It was just a hard hit that made a mess. Gordon was fine. Carl Edwards won the race but later got hit with a 100-point penalty for his car violating regulations. Sometimes the crash isn't even the wildest part of the story. 6. Elliott Sadler. Sadler flipped so many times, I lost count. Sadler had near contact with Dale Jr. and then touched Kurt Busch's right front fender. His car immediately goes airborne, flips twice, lands on the roof, spins toward the banking, and then flips 6 more times. 6 more times. Somehow Sadler walked out completely uninjured, but they still airlifted him to the hospital just to be safe. The next year at Talladega, he had another flip crash on the final lap, where he spun out, went on his roof, and then landed on all 4 wheels and still crossed the finish line in 22nd. Dude's got 9 lives. He even drove the car back to the garage after that one like nothing happened. Some drivers are just built different, I guess. 5. Richard Petty. Richard Petty in the 1988 Daytona 500 had a crash that's legendary in NASCAR history. Lap 106. Phil Barkdahl turns Petty coming out of turn 4. Petty's car goes flying, tumbles multiple times, rides along the catch fence, and throws parts all over the front stretch. After several flips, Bed Bodine T-bones him before he finally stops. The King walked away with no serious injuries, except he temporarily lost his sight from the excessive G-forces. This crash was similar to Bobby Allison's 1987 Talladega wreck and later Carl Edwards' crash. The crazy part is this happened even with the restrictor plates that NASCAR just made mandatory at the start of 1988. They added those plates specifically to slow cars down, and Petty still went flying into the fence. Goes to show how dangerous these tracks really are. 4. Michael Waltrip. Michael Waltrip at the 1990 Bristol race had what might be the most violent impact I've ever seen. Lap 170 of the Budweiser 250. Waltrip makes contact with Robert Presley and hits a gate on the outside wall at the exit of turn 2. Why was there a gate in the wall? Because Bristol didn't have a tunnel, so they needed a way to get vehicles in and out of the infield. Terrible design. The impact broke the gate and Waltrip went head-on into the end of the wall. His car completely disintegrated on impact. The whole thing collapsed into itself. Everyone watching thought he was dead. His brother Darrell rushed to the wreck, absolutely terrified. Somehow, Michael only had minor cuts, soreness, and bruises. That's it. When Ken Squire asked him about it after, he said he had some contusions and a little bit of confusion, and ended with, "Hope we did a good job for Kool-Aid." Classic Mikey. After Mike Harmon had an almost identical crash years later, they finally moved the gate. Only took multiple near-death experiences for them to fix it. 3. Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman in the 2020 Daytona 500. Man, this one was scary as hell. Newman's leading on the final corner of the final lap when Ryan Blaney taps his rear bumper. Newman's car shoots across the track, bounces off the outside wall, rolls onto its roof, and then Corey LaJoie plows into him at nearly 200 miles per hour on the driver's side. The impact flips Newman's car again, and it slides upside down across the finish line in a shower of sparks and flames. Newman was completely unresponsive. His helmet had a giant crack in it from the impact. It took 15 minutes to get him out and into an ambulance. Everyone thought the worst. But 2 days later, Newman walked out of the hospital on his own. Turns out he had no broken bones, just a bruised brain, and was knocked unconscious. 3 weeks later, he showed up at Phoenix saying he believed his survival was a miracle. He was back racing by May. The fact that he's alive is genuinely insane. Modern safety equipment saved his life, no question. 2. Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch in the 2015 Xfinity race at Daytona had a crash that sidelined him for 11 races. With 9 laps to go, Eric Jones got turned by Busch coming out of the tri-oval. Jones overcorrected and took out more cars. Busch tried to go high to avoid it but lost control. His car slid across the infield grass and pounded the inside concrete wall head-on at about 90 miles per hour. Busch climbed out, but immediately laid down in the grass, clearly hurt bad. They took him to the hospital where doctors found a massive compound fracture in his right lower leg, a small fracture in his left foot, and a sprained finger. That compound fracture was gnarly, the bone was sticking out. Busch missed the first 11 Sprint Cup races that season. The fact that a 90-mile-per-hour hit caused more long-term damage than some of those 180-plus mile-per-hour crashes shows you how much the angle and impact point matter. 1. Dale Earnhardt Sr. And finally, Dale Earnhardt Sr. at the 2001 Daytona 500. This is the one that changed NASCAR forever. Final lap, Earnhardt's running third behind his two cars driven by Michael Waltrip and Dale Jr. He's driving super aggressive, trying to block the pack and keep them away from his guys. Going into turn 3, he throws a block on Sterling Marlin, who's trying to pass on the bottom. Earnhardt's not clear, and his bumper clips Marlin's front. His car goes into a skid with the nose on the apron. He tries to correct, but overcorrects and shoots back up into Ken Schrader. Schrader rams him behind the passenger door and Earnhardt's car snaps toward the wall. He hits it head-on at 155 to 160 miles per hour. Both cars slide into the infield grass. The race finished under green, with Waltrip winning his first ever Cup race and Jr. finishing second. But Earnhardt never got out. Schrader was first to his car and immediately called for urgent help. They took Earnhardt to Halifax Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead at 5:16 p.m. The 7-time champion was gone. This death led to massive safety changes. The Hans device became mandatory. Safer barriers got installed everywhere, and NASCAR completely overhauled their safety protocols. It took losing a legend for them to finally get serious about driver safety. The 2001 Daytona 500 remains the last Cup Series race with a fatal accident. We're glad for that, but we'll never forget what it cost. These crashes show just how far NASCAR safety has come and how lucky we are that most of these guys walked away. Which crash hit you the hardest? Drop a comment below and let us know. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to Track Reactions for more incredible stories from on and off the track.